All right, welcome back. It is Breakfast Daily. The show is interactive. Of course, this show is sponsored by Creamy Plus, and you don't want to start your day off without some good dose of Creamy Plus in your tea, coffee, or whatever you choose to have at breakfast time.
Yeah.
Yes. The show is the show is interactive. The WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. We do want to hear from you, and if you happen to watching on social media, kindly use the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Now, there are conversations around Appiate, the unfortunate incidents that happened there, the explosion and all that. All this while, we've never heard from the number one gentleman of the land, but he's spoken. He's spoken. Let's take a look at what the president said.
What's happening at Appiate is something that is, for me personally, it's hallucinating. I'm still finding it very difficult to accommodate what is taking place and the devastation and the thing. But fortunately for us, we have a very young, dynamic, up-and-doing minister who seems to have been able to put his hand on what it requires to be done and is working with others in the sector and the industry to try and get a hand on it, and also, more importantly, to be able to build a better future out of what has happened. And there are lots of things that we're going to have to learn out of the incident, which will go to shape future regulations and measures that have to be taken. I think the whole area of the safety of mines is now, and of mining activities in Ghana, now has to be very much at the front burner of national discourse. And we are required to find new and more acceptable solutions to how to ensure that safety of our population, of our environment against it. These things happen. You have to learn from it. It's tragic. And I hope we're going to take the right lessons from it.
All right, so that's the president speaking there on the matter. Our colleague, Duke Mensah-Poku, who is a parliamentary correspondent as well as the host of The Chamber, has joined us in studio. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
Yeah? How are things going?
Oh, everything is fine. We're back to the season again, parliamentary season. So
yeah.
Second session began this week.
I thought you were going to come in with a cloth and probably, beads and stuff like that.
Well,
the new fashion sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't afford to do that because my job involves moving around a lot.
Okay.
So
it's more convenient to be clad in clothes. You don't have to keep thinking
keep
about
adjusting and the rest. So
well, we'll get there.
I don't have the luxury of sitting in the, in the chair and in the chair for some time, reading and making comments and the rest. My job involves moving around.
We'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there. Maybe next time you be in kente shorts and shirts.
Well, maybe
you can move around easier.
Yes. So, interestingly, well, maybe also that speaks to that mindset as well. This is the only time in the week where I'm in from Monday up till now, I've been in African print shirts all those while. So.
I see, interesting.
No, so you're getting the message. You're all getting the message. You're getting the message. We'll get there.
But the president has finally spoken.
Yeah.
Yes. What do I make of what he just said what we already know. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that, of course, it's coming from him as the president, which then would communicate that this is being taken seriously at the very highest level. Unfortunately, I mean, today is exactly a week that this happened, and I'll take the opportunity to express my condolences to the bereaved families, and then wish those who are still recuperating, wish them speedy recovery. So it's been a week, 7 days up until now. How well have we done? I think that some of the measures were a bit, for want of a better word, a bit hasty. Okay. Hasty in the sense that, the launch of the fund.
Okay.
The launch of the fund.
Why do you feel it was hasty, though?
Do you need such a structure? Do you need a fund to be able to, as a vehicle, to gather relief and items and things like that to be able to support the people. We say we are investigating. The investigations could prove that some corporate entities are liable for what happened.
Yeah.
And if indeed such liability exists, they would pay damages. And if our criminal justice system works in the way that it has to work, they would be responsible for rehabilitating, restitution, and even pecuniary award to the people in that part of the country. So it is not bad that a fund has been set up, all well and good. But I'm saying, could we have had that as a result of
an investigation?
An investigation.
Yeah. Maybe some recommendations calling for this, and then we do it.
Because it's not an act of God.
Oh, it's not.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean,
this is it's an unfortunate, it's an accident, all right. But if the necessary steps had been taken, we have an elaborate transportation of mining equipment and things like that. There is a whole LI, I think 2177, LI 2177 spells out directly, into details how you should transport such material, how a qualified person should be there, and
escort and all of those things,
and everything. All of that should be there. So for me, I mean, it's maybe that's what I'm saying. It's a time for us to rethink. Can we transport these? I mean, these explosives via rail? Maybe most of the time. Well, these days that we have the rail lines mostly passing through town, but most of the time these rail lines are on the outskirts of town. Imagine if this had happened. I mean, of course, this is a settlement. But imagine if it had happened in the Bogoso township.
Yeah, I mean,
or had happened
a disaster. You know? So talking about looking at the conversation, you know, the Abuja Napo has said that. The president also said it, that it looks like the whole conversation surrounding mining in general has to be looked at again. And I think that
it's one of and mining companies get away with a lot in this country.
Yeah, right.
Because of how they throw around monies, especially to people in authority.
Yeah.
The people who own the lands.
Yeah.
The way the relationship they have with the allodial owners of the land in this in this part of our country. Things such as cyanide spillage.
Yeah.
Improper disposal of mining waste. And this is not done by the what do you call it? 2x4.
The biggest of them.
The multinationals
of these.
Who will not be allowed to get away with such things in the countries where they originate.
But I also think that, Duke, we need to, as a people, also begin to understand these kind of conversations, because it is not enough for them to, for instance, just give you a 6-unit classroom and then that is it. It's not enough for them to just give you a clinic and that, because when you look at what they are taking away, it does not match. The kind of.
Have you been to a mining community?
My hometown is one. I come from Manson Kwanta. You understand? And it is terrible when you look at how the land is now. Kweku, it is pathetic. And you look at the poverty level in that community. This shouldn't happen, because I see it as, for what they are taking away from us, our people shouldn't be like this.
How many people understand the issue as you do understand it? For me, the exemplary, what exemplifies this is Obuasi.
Yes.
Over 100 years we've been mining in Obuasi. Go to Obuasi and see the kind of roads. Even the road that leads to Obuasi. And you go there, you see this sharp divide, this sharp segregation between where the AGC estates, Samjona and then Tutuka and the rest. It's so wide.
Extremely.
It's so bad. It typifies how poor we've done with mining in the country. And despite the fact that we are not reaping the required dividends, we also have issues about health and safety of mining in the country. I think a couple of months ago I read a book written about Samjona, about it's called Samjona and the Making of Ashanti, and how even Assad then, when Samjona after Adisado decided to learn the ropes of the trade as a miner himself, went underground people, and how it was, and he even said that it was not, safety in mining was not fashionable then. So So to say that even now things are getting better. But this should tell us that it has been an age-old problem that we have failed to tackle, to deal with. That people go down there and they never come back. But these days we've been hearing it with these small-scale miners and Galamsey people and the rest that they go into pits and they don't come back. But for all we know, these multinationals, these things are also happening there. But because they have that entire elaborate corporate structure and the rest, these things hardly come out. So this is an opportunity we shouldn't miss to ensure that we put in place the right mechanism. Not just the putting in place of the mechanism, not just the drafting of reports, not just expert views and recommendations, but to implement them. Seeing to its implementation, because that's what has been missing. If it comes to the laws and the regulations, we've seen it. We've seen the regulations that govern or that guide the transportation of such explosives.
Why is it not being implemented?
Who is there to implement it?
You know, so we've had the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Bogoso-Appiate has been speaking to this. He's been visiting, but we've also now had the Housing Minister Asensio-Boakye visit the area as well. So let's take a look at what the conversation is now.
It is exactly 7 days since the Appiate explosion disaster that actually destroyed the town and a portion of the I am free to Bogoso main highway. And as we speak, they have actually been able to fill the major portion that was actually exploded and currently doing compacting. We have been told that it wouldn't take more than a week for the road to actually be open to the motorists that are actually on this very highway. We are currently expecting the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, here this morning to actually see how the redevelopment and relief exercise over here is going. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, arrived at the Appiate community in the company of the Works and Housing Minister, Francis Asensio-Boakye, and were received by the Chief of Bepo Traditional Area, Nana Atakojo Bremibi, who is the overlord of Appiate, together with other chiefs from the area. While commending the government in its response to the disaster, including the establishment of the Appiate Support Fund Committee, Nana Atabremibi questioned the account by the police following its preliminary investigations.
Since you accounts of commercial bank and financial rural bank, yes, sir, I said, Tikabia Ebano, Omoye, no Mescano, and the Metroya Council. Na yɛmfa yɛ platform no ɛne wɔn so a yɛde wɔn akɔdu baabi a yɛrebɔ wɔn ka asɛm baako a mema minister wate yie na wate aseɛ yie ɛne sɛ metete sɛ saa explosive na ɛbaeɛ no na police escort edi anim ɛnyɛ nokorɛ mechanic sɛ ɛnyɛ nokorɛ Appiatefoɔ no gyina ha yara ɛna pa saa explosive car no ɔba accident ni si ɛhɛya ɔmo nyinaa ɛni tua eti sɛ obi gyina nkyɛn na ɔka sɛ police escort edi anim a na ɛnyɛ nokorɛ sɛ ɛyɛ nokorɛ a saa police escort no na ɔte kaa anim a na sɛ odi explosive n'anim ɛfɛ nso sɛ ɔchallenge a ɔmɛgyina ha na yɛn nso yɛbisa n'asɛm.
Samuel Abu-Jinapor, while expressing his sympathy, assured them of a fair investigation into the incident.
Last year, Tiemo Numusema, 7 previous, and medicine Sajimuno, not a really very year. And now many more Casay. Yate a coca crack, Omoba Mukrumohano, a year Shemuna Echi, Omoba Disabis and Sem, Nomba Fefe, Semu, Na Enche, Shemunus are so in another dead, they name when you pray. Then an American police escort, no who, no ni who.
After a tour of the devastated community, the Works and Housing Minister, Francis Asensio-Boakye, said though government is committed to the redevelopment of the Appiate community, it will proceed cautiously to ensure success.
It's more devastating than what you saw on television. And that has reinforced our commitment, especially from the Ministry of Western Housing, to reconstruct this town. This is a follow-up visit to what the Vice President did, and this is the first time that my ministry is coming here. I must say that State Housing Company officials have come here, but we are still in the process of putting our responses together so that we can formally come back to the public to say this the number of houses we're going to be dealing with.
Following the complaint by the Chamber of Mines that suspended Mazam Company Limited supplies about 40% of the explosive services, Samuel Abujinapo hinted of a possible review of the suspension.
The Chamber brought this matter to my attention. They've since written to my office. It's a very important factor that we have to consider in the decisions we take moving forward. We need to assemble the basic facts before we can take a decision as to whether to lift the ban or not. And the Minerals Commission is engaged in that way. Let's give ourselves a few days.
Meanwhile, a member of the Appiate Support Fund Committee, Tetrete Okwama Sechim, together with the Omahini of Eskado traditional area, Nana Kwabena Nketia, who led the Western Regional House of Chiefs to tour Appiate, and the Dumasi New Relief Center, told City News they would ensure judicious use of the fund for the benefit of affected persons.
The committee's mandate is to raise funds and see the disbursement in a transparent manner. The committee is so involved in reconstruction. But I believe along the line, before you disburse, you have to make sure the right things are done. And I can assure Nananum that I'm with them. And I believe this is why, in the sense, the government had one of us on the committee, being me. So we are on it. And we're not going to sleep over it till everything is done. So now we can get that assurance from me. And I believe I will be able to speak to my committee members to make sure Appiate comes back to life.
A technical advisor for the United Nations leading the Interagency Working Group for Emergency spoke to City News while on tour of Appiate.
Because it's an interagency, we are here with other UN agencies. So we have WFP, IOM, and UNICEF. Yes, here, and UNFPA here to see, for some of what is happening, and to really also commensurate with the community and the affected population. And as we came, we didn't come empty-handed. We came with some supplies as well to really support the response and to support government's efforts to really responding to this emergency.
So this is the Minerals House at the newly created Dumasi Relief Center, where it is expected that in the coming days all the affected persons currently at the Bogoso Hotel and the Bogoso Catholic Relief Center will be moved here. And this very particular warehouse is where most of the relief that are being received are coming here. And as you can see, we have several mattresses that are here waiting to be distributed into the various tents that are being constructed. And if you look at my right hand side here, we have several packed bottle of water waiting to be distributed. We have several other drinks over here, all to cater for the affected persons. We have these disposable tissues, which will also be given to affected persons. And these boxes are gifts, or should I say relief items, that today were brought in from the UNICEF and the UNFP team that actually came also visiting. So this is the warehouse, and it looks as if that the call for the public to actually come to the aid of victims of this disaster is actually being heard, and several of these things are coming in. But affected persons and their managers are still calling on the public to consider whatever that they can do to support their care over here at the newly created relief center at Dumasi in the Pristia Muni Valley municipality.
All right, so you saw it there, the ministerial visit with the housing minister and others also visiting. We'll take a short break. We'll come back and continue the conversation.
I would love to move into my new apartment. In fact, this year, I would love to spend my money only on quality stuff. I will love. Well, this AFCON 22, Toshiba has a promo for us with 1,999 Ghana cedis. We will simply buy a Toshiba twin-tub washing machine and Amma will wash everything. Tub load inverter, which is now going for 3,299. That food is straight from a Toshiba microwave solo, going for only 449 Ghana cedis. Top mount Toshiba fridge, they've dropped the price to 2,599. Oh, I love Toshiba! The prices are cool and still the Japanese high-quality brands. Get quality. Get Toshiba.
GoTV, they give your TV new life by stepping up your entertainment at no extra cost to you. Upgrade to GoTV Value to watch GoTV Plus. You did GoTV Value already? Then upgrade the GoTV Plus and watch GoTV Max. If you did on GoTV Plus, upgrade to GoTV Max to enjoy the brand new GoTV Super Package. No darling, for the best sports, international entertainment, and local shows. Step up today. GoTV. Love it.
You're welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily, and we're having a conversation on the Appiate explosion. So earlier you heard what the president said, and now what the ministers are also saying, the housing minister and the lands and natural resources minister as well. So it looks like there's going to be some kind of respite for the people, Duke.
Yes. But I'm interested in, you see, we live in a country where when we talk about government funding projects, my example would be the e-blocks.
Yeah.
See, the e-blocks, and I'm not digressing, I'm just making a point. The e-blocks that was started by President Mahama, over 25 of them were funded by the World Bank. Those ones, they are completed though.
Yeah.
But the ones that were to be completed by government, those are the ones that most of them are in the bushes, creating grass cutter farms and the rest, because there's no funding. The Accra Kumasi road, which for so many years has not been completed. The part that has not been completed mostly is because it's GOG funding, Government of Ghana counterpart funding, which is what is missing. Most of the time when we put together projects and there's counterpart funding, what that means is that you have a component of that coming from either a loan or a grant, and then the other part to be provided for by the Government of Ghana. Because we underperform when it comes to revenue collection and a lot of us are not in the tax net and the rest. The money that is required to get this done, we don't get it to complete the project. Obviously, this Appiate explosion is not something that they provided for.
They don't have a budget.
There's no budget for it. There's no specific money allocated for it to get this done. So I will be interested in finding out. And I thought I think that our colleagues there should have asked the minister where the source of the source of funding is going to be from. On Tuesday, he was in Parliament to make a statement about what they will do and all of. But I didn't give us the opportunity to ask him questions because he had to go back to the floor of the House. But what I'm saying is that we should know the source of funding, because when it was not even on the scale of Appiate, right? Keta, what happened? And they call for sea defense. Government could out of it straight scrape off 10 million for feasibility studies. And that's this one. This one, we are reconstructing a whole town. New houses, electricity, layout, parks, hospitals, because we are told they are going to build a modern settlement for the people there. Where is the money going to come from?
But what will be the contribution of the mining companies?
So that's what I'm saying, that if we are going to look at go into our miscellaneous funds and other government obligations, because I know there's a huge amount that's also voted for that. Why can't we get the mining companies, those in that area, and get them to contribute a substantial portion of revenue to get this done. Otherwise, the makeshift, community that they've created for them to survive in for some time may become permanent. Because when we talk about government of Ghana, State House, and it's just this gentleman who is trying to resuscitate the place, and they are now building houses. For so many years, State House, people didn't even know that it existed. A lot of the developments are being done by these private real estate developers. So it's a company that over the past few years they've shown us under Virus. I think I'm trying to get his name. Is that this nickname? Has shown that they can do the work. But it's not just about doing the work. It's not about just having the competence and the expertise. It's also about the funding. Where is the money going to come from?
We will find out where the money is coming from. By the meantime, let's go over to the Western region. Our correspondent, Apostle J, is standing by. Welcome to Breakfast Daily, Anim.
Good morning, everyone.
Right. So, how are the people doing now?
Well, I would say for now, the people are doing well. Those in the various hospitals are being cared for, and those at the two created relief centers are also being cared for. Yesterday, we had opportunity of interaction with some of them who actually confirmed to us that they are getting all the food rations that they have to get. So they don't have any problem with feeding. One of the issues that we picked up earlier was the issue of sanitary stuff for the women. But luckily, we've had some civil society people coming in to donate some of these things. But it's one of the things that those who are still thinking of coming to donate can look at. I think everybody comes in thinking that they will need food, mattresses, and all that. We've actually received a lot of these mattresses and rice and those things. But I think when they look at the issues of sanitary things that the women will need, it will help. Again, I heard you talk about, the minister's visit. Yeah, the minister was there yesterday. We've had a national fund established in Accra for this Appiate redevelopment. And locally, they are assembling together with the people have also established a fund. Already they are receiving a lot of support. We've had GMPC going there to promise support them with a burden of a school block for them in conjunction with the state housing company. We've had Ghana Gas company
even ECG
there. ECG has been there. They've received some checks so far, and so they are already mobilizing some money over there. And the call is for the national one to also find its way here. Again, the issue of where the funding is going to come from for the redevelopment, the vice president was very categorical. He said that the government is going to collaborate with the mining company to put up this building. So if you look at the national fund committee that was set up in Accra, a key component of that is the representation from the Chamber of Mines. Mr. Kuni Suleiman, he is representing the mine. And again, this accident is as a result of the export of explosives. And so that is, the mining sector is the source of the explosion. So definitely, and a lot of Christians, they will have to give some, compensation if they are found to have caused this. And so, and then again, they also have a social responsibility to the people. And so, all the stakeholders within the mining, it's a mining catchment. We have several mining companies around the area. And so, they all have a stake in making sure that the people are cared for. So, the source so far is going to come from government. We know there is no budget for that, but we know very well that the mining companies are going to play a critical role in providing funding to support government to put out these structures. So as to whether what the mining companies, what they'll bring will be enough together with what government will bring is the question. But so far, this is what we know.
Right.
So Anim, the persons who are being kept and supported, I know there was the Catholic Church opened their place up and all of that for some people who had been displaced to find shelter. How is that going? And is there also not a danger of others trying to cash in on the opportunity coming from neighboring towns and so on and so forth? How is all that going?
Well, I think first of all, I would say they are very fine. Initially the concern they had was the issue of congestion at the center, because the numbers, was a bit huge, and so the assembly quickly managed to create a space for some of the numbers to be moved to a hotel in Bogoso Hotel, so where they were able to decongest the place by taking some of them to that place. So the number at the Bogoso Catholic Parish Hall has been reduced. Okay. And as we speak, I'm sure between today and tomorrow, by the close of the week, they should be moving to the newly created relief camp, which is about 1 kilometer away from Appiate, a community called Dumasi, where the assembly together with the Red Cross have been able to put up several tents. Some of the tents already came with some kind of covering for the foundation. Those that didn't have a covering for the foundation, they've actually created a nice foundation for them, and they have a warehouse there where they are receiving all this relief support. Again, they have some kind of hospital that is there. We have health and nurses who are going to be there. They have a security post that is created over there. So we're hoping that the issue of how they are being cared for and the issue of congestion will be a thing of the past when this place is finally fully completed, and then they move in.
Right, but look, visiting the place, for instance, the Catholic facility that they are occupying now, how is hygienic conditions, like sanitary conditions, pressure on washrooms? COVID-19 is still very present among us. How are all these things being addressed?
Well, initially, I think social distancing was an issue. But as time goes on, people coming in. I have had even NGOs call me from Accra wanting to come and donate, and they want information as to what are the core needs of the people. And so when I hear some of this, and I personally direct them to the NADMO officials to give them what are the needs on the ground. I think one of the things that the NADMO officials will have to do, because so far they are coordinating the relief exercise together with the assembly. I think what they will have to do is to begin to put out the key concerns or the key needs of these people, so that people who want to actually come out there and give support can know. Because initially what we saw is that everybody comes in there with mattresses, with rice, and there was no place to actually even put the mattress, because the shelter was fully engaged, and even the place to put the mattress was an issue. So we had other companies like Bogoso actually bringing in extra canopies to be mounted on the compound of the parish hall. And so yesterday when we got there, we saw that these canopies had actually been mounted on the compound of the parish hall to accommodate the extra numbers. So the issue of congestion and social distancing and hygiene was a big issue, but as it goes on, things are getting better over there.
Is there not a danger of people who were not part of the calamity, trying to cash in on this?
This is a small settlement where I think people know themselves. Anybody staying in that town will definitely know somebody. So if you're an outsider and you come in, they will make you out. What we saw is that the concern that we took that initially was that there were, natives of the town who were not actually in town. We know some of them even stay within the catchment of the community, not necessarily staying there, but they are basically from the community. Some of them came checking on their relations, and some of them initially ended up taking some of these relief items. But they've done proper registration. They are still doing registration because we had children whose parents could not be found, and people are now tracing back to where they can get support. And so the numbers keep coming in, and they are still doing registration. So they are able to actually make out in posters who might want to come there.
Right, now quickly before you go, did we get any timelines, from the housing minister as to when we will finish these projects?
In fact, that is the concern right now, because yesterday when we got there in the morning before the minister arrived, we saw Ghana Statistica authorities, authority officials, taking census of the houses that have been devastated. And so I inquired what is happening, whether they even have the number of houses there, and they said they could not share at the moment, but they knew that the president, the minister was actually coming to touch, so sort of perform some ceremonial
break the grounds
for what they call it, the demolition of the structure. So they started counting the houses from the road, so that even if they start, by the time they start, they will be far ahead inside the community. And so they were there taking the count of the houses, and we were hoping that with the ministers coming, there will be some ceremony to sort of start the demolition. But we didn't see that. And when I specifically asked the question, I asked the Minister for Housing and Works and Housing when demolition is going to start for construction to actually start. And he said they are treading cautiously, they need to get things right, so they are getting information and all that. And I can tell you for now, I don't think there's been any commitment as to this is how much we are going to give as a mining company, as maybe Chamber of Mines, the government to do that. So he couldn't give us any timeline. In fact, both the ministers, the Lands and the Natural Resources Minister and Works and Housing, all of them said that they will come back at a later date to give us the date for, the timeline or the itinerary for the reconstruction or redevelopment of the place. But for now, there is nothing like that.
All right. Thank you very much, Akwesi. Thank you very much for the update there. So that was our colleague, Akwesi Enimije, from the Western region. So, Duke, some major concerns as to the rollout of promises made, no timeline is given.
Yes, no timeline is given because
there's no budget.
Because the budget issue has not been sorted out yet. So it's good that we now know that government is going to collaborate with the mining companies. But what is the percentage of the required? First of all, how much would they require? And we would need this from the State Housing Company. How much would they require to put together this? We just heard that the Statistical Service is doing a census to ascertain the extent of damage and exactly how many houses will be needed or to be put up in that kind of facilities. Apart from putting up the houses, we need other ancillary facilities. Already GMPC has committed to build a school. Then we're expecting a proper school, state-of-the-art school, not any. Well, that's what we're expecting there. But I think that going forward, and of course, government did not budget for this. The mining companies also did not budget for this. So I think that if it's been difficult, the mining companies, because they are beneficiaries of the fruit of the land, which most of and it's legal in this country, that the Lands Act 1036 makes it clear that when minerals are discovered on your land, it no longer belongs to you, it belongs to the government. And the president holds all these lands in trust. It's stride knowledge and stride law in immovable property. That so in that, to be able to ensure that there is a certain level of commitment from these mining companies. We know how much they pay per year in terms of dividends to government on their licenses. Government can go into an agreement with them to, because of what has happened, a certain percentage of those expected dividends. So if, for instance, depending on the concession, whatever they have, they're supposed to pay $100 million or $60 million this year as dividends. It also depends on their profit. So we can say that out of that amount of money you're supposed to pay, this percentage of what you did last year, please give it to us so that we can reconstruct the place because as a result of these activities. And I think if we're able to go into that, but if the approach is to get them to voluntarily commit to this, it may be difficult.
Are we moving fast enough?
It's been 7 days.
Yes, entering week 2.
The first thing, which is to properly resettle these guys, temporarily, has been done. We've seen all of that. With the places where there are challenges, they are getting it fixed. So at least for that one, we would say it's good. We've seen the highest form of commitment from government, which is from the president. We heard from him yesterday. Going forward, the investigations, we are told next week a team of experts will be commissioned to begin work. The criminal and the civil aspect should not be left in abeyance. We're expecting results from that, from what the police is doing as well. Apart from that, another thing which is important to me is that we have moved these people into a temporary shelter. Beyond 2-3 months of relief items, these are people who had source of livelihoods before this happened. So those who were traders, those who were hairdressers, farmers, and the rest. Is there a plan to get them to go back to what they were doing? Because it's not sustainable to think that if government is going to put back the community in 4 years or 2 years or at most 1 year, within that 1 year period, you will think that every day there will be brought bags of rice and the rest. At a point in time, the goodwill will stop.
Of course,
it's
because
only natural.
It is pretty fresh and urgent now. So people, because if I donate today, I will not come back in the next 3 months to donate.
So after 2-3 months, all this goodwill will die down. What will happen? What happens to the people there, the source of livelihood? There are kids there need to go back to school. Their school has been destroyed. What is the plan? I'm told that, of course, Enim told us that to prevent issues of congestion, they are taking them to a hotel.
The Bogoso Hotel.
The Bogoso Hotel. Hotel fees. It's not for free. Charges who's going to pay after a certain period. So it's the initial steps are great. We are all great when it comes. We are good when it comes to initial steps. But what happens after these initial steps? We should ask the market women whose stores get destroyed by fire at Makola and the rest. What happens to them? We shouldn't use that approach. This is a serious matter, and we should not just start rebuilding for rebuilding sake. There should be a proper. I mean, I don't know if it's right for me to use the word seismic, but they should come through the area very well to ensure that there are no explosive evidence somewhere which has not popped off. Experts should do that work. Should map out the place very well to find out that the place is rid of all explosives. Otherwise, you go and do it, and one day some children are playing boom, another one goes off, and all the work that has been done comes back to naught. It's important. It's very necessary.
Well, let's go over.